back on the record. The time is 5:50. This is Media 6.
Any changes to earlier testimony?
No.
Okay. Earlier you mentioned cases or lawsuits that you've been a part of. You remember that testimony?
You have to be more specific.
Sure. Earlier I asked you what cases, if any, you've been involved with court. And you gave me the names of 2, and then we expanded it to a couple others. Wasn't there also a court case with a MIT employer? A restraining order?
MIT employer?
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's when my shoulder got hurt. The manager got fired because of his negligence. He came out and he put a box of my stuff. When he left, he took my stuff with him. He smashed it all over my front porch, and then he put a bullet on, an old rusty bullet on the window seal. We called the police, filed a police report. I'm in bed with 2 shoulders, and that's the injury I described earlier with the server. It was this company. And they, I believe, did a restraining order on the manager and me after that incident because of the bullet.
Why against you if it's the manager?
This was all a part of the workman's comp. This was the workman's comp case. So they tried to deny workman's comp. They tried, then they fired me before the workman's comp was being filed. It was a whole fiasco. And the only reason I didn't protest the restraining order and go and fight it is because I couldn't. I was stuck in bed. The attorneys were calling me saying, we're going to file this. You can come in and object and do all this other stuff. And I was more worried about my injuries. So I was just trying to make it go away so I could get the care I needed.
So you understand?
But I was obviously no threat to anyone. I couldn't even walk.
You understand that a judge determined you to be a threat in that case?
Objection.
Just because I wasn't there to say anything, it was totally uncontested. It was just their word, and I didn't contest it. So it's more of a rubber stamping than it is anything else.
Right. But you understand it's another court case?
I do, but that slipped my mind. It's been so long ago, and it was such. I picture all that as a part of my workman's comp that I mentioned earlier. When I mentioned the workman's comp stuff I was involved in, I kind of picture all of that as involved.
Are there any other restraining orders that you have failed to tell us about?
No. I've never had other than that, I've never had a restraining order.
Okay, because that's another case number, and I asked you about any and all cases.
I have not had restraining orders other than that one from the workman's comp case.
Huh. Do you remember what their allegations were against you, that they alleged, as far as needing a restraining order against you?
I don't. But like I said, I was laying in bed. I couldn't move from a hemorrhage disc, ripped tendons in my, ripped rotator cuffs and ripped bicep tendons. So I was totally immobile. I still have the video, and I believe the police report.
Why did you keep it?
I think it's on one of my old hard drives. I think it was from my workman's comp case. I showed all of them that, and they were not happy. It was actually Darling International, that's the name of the company. Yeah, they ended up losing that workman's comp objection. They tried to cut me off from my workman's comp benefits and surgeries, and I had to fight it, and that was most likely part of the evidence.
Did you understand that Miss Youngblood was trying to develop some sort of a farm or hemp farm in Nevada?
Yes, I was approached and told that she had been doing cannabis for some time, but she wanted to switch over to hemp because that was the next upcoming thing.
When you say doing, what do you mean? Farming?
Farming, yes.
No, let's be clear about that.
So she's wanting to switch over or add hemp to their cannabis farm. And they asked if we would like to be involved as investors. We as in Leon, Roger, and myself.
And at the time of your investment, you were aware that the farm was for hemp, not marijuana, correct?
Right, but when the hemp was delivered, it turned out to be marijuana, and they were negligent in not testing it before it arrived, and it turned out to not be hemp. It was classified as marijuana, and then I was told that they were going to do what they could to sell it. I don't know how. It didn't look like they had a permit on their farm, but they were going to sell it and then give me my money back. And that's
Who told you that it was marijuana, not hemp?
Roger Richards. I believe I have that in email.
That he had tested it and it was...
That they had purchased all of this hemp, like tons of hemp plants. It arrived, and then I don't know if it was to get the hemp license for the farm.
They, and it arrived where?
Adrian and her husband, I can't remember his name right now, but they had all of the plants delivered to their farm, and they were, I think, about to get their license for hemp farming, and some official or something came out to test the actual plants, is what I'm told, and they tested as marijuana, not as hemp.
So what was delivered to Miss Youngblood's farm was the wrong type for what was...
Correct. That's
she
what
was
I was
expecting.
told.
Okay.
And I was told that within a few months they were going to harvest it, sell it, and then pay us our money back. And then when I went to DOD and at the last DOD, 2019, I asked her husband how it was doing, because they never would tell me what was going on. I always had to really bother the hell out of them. And I asked her husband, and he had this shocked look on his face. He said, "Didn't anyone tell you?" I said, "Tell me what?" He said, "The whole crop died of a disease." And I was like, no one told me. How long ago did this happen? And he was like, "Oh, it's been like 6 weeks or a month or, no one told me." So.
You never got videos about it?
I was sent videos of the plants and the greenhouses being built. And I went and talked to some professionals here about, the cannabis. And they said that if they were separated into 3 different tents, then only that would have protected the whole crop from getting killed by the same disease. They said they just would have lost a crop in one of the tents. In all 3, he said that's just unheard of. So I still haven't gotten any type of real explanations about what went on. This is all hearsay from Roger and Adrian's husband.
Did you ever have any understanding as far as a change in her county regarding growing hemp?
No, I was not told anything.
Did you ever ask?
Yes, constantly.
You sent emails?
I sent emails, I sent texts, I talked to Roger, I was contacting Roger, because Roger was the point man with the whole thing.
Why didn't you contact Miss Youngblood?
Roger was the point man, and Adrian would never really communicate with me, and all I got was snarkiness from her.
Okay, so you did send something to Adrian, you got snarkiness back?
When I would try to converse with Adrian, all I got was just kind of snarky attitude-ish stuff. It was like a resentment that she had.
Was that phone calls?
Is in person.
Never any texts?
No.
Never any emails?
No, I don't think so.
So you never sent any texts or emails to Miss Youngblood about the hemp farm?
No, it was all through Roger, the one who was the point man running the investment for me.
Is Roger an employee of Adrian Youngblood?
No, but you have to remember, Leon and Roger had everything going through them. So that was the way things went. Leon was involved in this too. And I was asking Roger because Roger had actually worked with her on the details of the investment. Leon insists that all communications go through one central point, and that's just the way that he had it set up, and that's the way things operated.
Did Leon own the hemp farm?
No, he was a fellow investor.
So why would you go through a fellow investor to invest in the Youngblood farm?
I just explained. That
Because a fellow investor insisted that you go through them?
Yes, they had set up everything that we do as them being the gatekeepers. Especially Leon was the biggest gatekeeper. That's what I've been testifying to all day today.
Okay, so you believe that in order to communicate on behalf of SBA, you had to do it through Leon or Roger?
I don't believe that. You're going to see it in the documentations that was Leon's demand on how things ran until a period where I finally started fighting against it. He wouldn't let me talk to he wouldn't let me talk to David about business when that's what we always did. It was a part of our friendship.
David Wilcox?
Everybody he compartmentalized away from me, and he became the gatekeeper.
And so
everything went in and out through Leon.
And did he block them on your phone, or how did he stop you from communicating to them?
You know, it's the same influence that got me to sign contracts. It was him convincing me that he was the expert in the situation and that everything was being handled, and that I am like just a sniveling person that it's just.
So he convinced you. So you were convinced at one point that you should communicate through them.
Correct.
And so you made a choice to communicate through them.
I went along with the demand. I guess I chose to go along with that demand.
Okay.
Because Leon said that it would get me to the promised land.
But you chose to communicate with Ms. Youngblood through Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, that's the way it was all set up. She never spoke to me personally and said, would you like to invest in the farm? When I gave the money, she never sent me an email and said, yay, we're starting off, let's do, there was never communication from her directly to me. It went.
That's because you'd given permission to Mr. Kennedy to communicate on SBA's behalf, correct?
That's because Kennedy was the gatekeeper.
Okay, and that was your choice.
Well, yeah, that was the stipulation for him coming to work.
And you agreed to that?
And I agreed to it.
Okay.
And it caused many problems with contracts, relationships. He pitted me and David Wilcox against each other, as you will see in testimony and later.
And you believe that SBA put in $15,000 in a Youngbloods project, correct?
Into the hemp project. Yeah, I can't remember at the moment. It was like 10 or 15,000.
And you believe if the greenhouses had been done differently, that the 15,000 would have been lost? If there'd been 3 greenhouses instead of 1.
There were 3 greenhouses.
Okay. So
on the video it shows.
So you believe it was.
If they never separated the plants out into the 3 greenhouses they showed on video, then that's further negligence on their part.
Okay. But what was there any negligence on their part? On the Youngbloods part?
Yeah, when you purchase hemp and it arrives as cannabis, that's what I'm told.
Is that negligence on your part or the person who shipped it?
Well, it's negligence on the person who bought it as well.
Why? If you order hemp and instead of you get shipped marijuana, is that your fault or the person who shipped it?
These are federally regulated substances.
I understand.
It's not going to Walmart
Why do you believe it was Youngblood's negligence that marijuana showed up instead of hemp?
Well, because she was an expert. She grew marijuana on the farm for years, and she has everything she needs to test. If she's going to go in and drop all this money, you're just going to, and when it was delivered as hemp, why didn't she return it and get her money back? That's negligent.
How much money do you think she paid for the delivery?
I don't know.
So it could be $100. You have no idea how much.
I was kept in the dark about everything.
Okay, so you know that there's a delivery, that the wrong thing showed up. That's what you were told through who?
Through Roger, and I don't know if Leon was on the call or not. But we just, Leon was on the call several times when we discussed to him because we were all partners.
And what makes you think that the plants did not arrive with a test?
And that's what I was told,
By?
Roger, in that phone call.
What year was that you were told that?
Right after we made the investment, 17 or 18, I can't even remember right
And when
now.
you said we made the investment, I want to be careful. You're talking about the SBA group made the investment, right?
I can't remember if that was a business investment or a personal investment of Stacy and I's at this moment, but I have to look at the documents.
So you believe it may have come out of your personal account?
I don't know. I would have to look at the documents.
Have you produced all your personal bank accounts for this litigation?
If I produce all my personal,
Correct. You're saying that there's possibly an investment by your personal monies into Miss Youngblood's farm, right?
possibly. It could have been from the business or it could have been from our personal. I don't know. I have to look back at the documentation.
Okay. And is, to the best of your understanding, is the SBA group a party to this lawsuit? Because they're a defunct entity.
SBA,
Have they been named as a DOE designation? Are they
I
a party and I
know.
don't know about it?
I don't know all this legal stuff.
Okay.
That's what I pay attorneys for.
Okay. And isn't it true that when Kennedy was initially asked by David Wilcock to start with your projects, Wilcock said that it had potential, but you had to get your story off the ground. You need to get your business affairs in order because you had projects all over the place. Wasn't that true?
I don't remember that being ever delivered to me. If it was delivered to Leon, he never told me.
You don't think that's what Wilcock said?
I don't know. Right now, Wilcock is beyond impressed with everything that's about to come down.
What's about to come down?
The fruits of my labors.
Okay, say more.
NDA.
What are the fruits of your labors that are going to come down?
They are covered by an NDA.
Okay, so you're refusing to answer the question.
I am.
Okay.
I am not going to give this group any inkling of what I'm doing because they will go in and screw it up.
Okay, so you're doing something in relation to
It's the
this-
NDA.
the subject matter of this lawsuit, and you're refusing to talk about it, correct?
I am not going to break the NDA. If I did so, the finance company and everyone involved would drop me faster than a hot potato.
And the NDA is related to the subject matter of this lawsuit, is that correct?
No, it's related to the subject matter of the big projects I'm about to sign.
And those have to do with the IP that's in relation to this lawsuit?
It's in relation to my IP, yes.
And your IP is in relation to what this lawsuit is about, correct?
Yeah, people stealing from my intellectual property, yes.
And that's what this lawsuit has to do with is your IP, correct?
Protecting my IP
And
from
that's,
thieves, from content thieves, yes.
and so that same IP is at issue in whatever deal you're about to do, correct?
Yes.
And you're refusing to talk about it.
Yes. I'm not violating this NDA unless a judge tells me to. If you want to call a judge and have them force me to break the NDA, I will do it under those circumstances.
Okay. And this is an NDA you signed with who?
I can't even tell you.
When you filed bankruptcy back in 2006 or 7, did that bankruptcy case get dismissed or were your debts discharged?
I think it was weird laws in Texas at that time.
That's federal law. It's not a Texas law.
The bankruptcy laws are regulated by Texas.
Nope.
That's what they told me in Texas.
Yeah.
I can't recall. Compared to, I mean, back then we made such little money and our debts were not that big compared to what we would consider big now. But I can't remember if it seems like we worked with a credit company and like paid some and then had others dismissed, but I can't remember. It was frickin' forever ago.
Do you remember my question, Mr. Goode?
Go ahead and repeat it.
Sure. At the end of your bankruptcy case, were your debts discharged so you didn't owe any more money, or was your case dismissed so you still owed monies?
Objection.
I don't fully remember how everything went down on that case. I would have to look at the printouts. I can't remember.
And counsel, to confirm, the entire deposition has been marked as confidential, correct?
That is correct.
You're choosing to not designate portions of it as confidential. You're choosing to designate the entirety of it as confidential. Is that correct?
Have you looked at
Yeah,
the
it's
protective
federal
order yet?
case.
As I
Madam
stated on the
Secretary.
record earlier, we're designating it as confidential. Under the protective order, we have 30 days to designate specific.
Portions, right.
If I can send you the protective order if you need
No,
it.
I have it. Just want to make sure that I'm clear. So you're going to do that within 30 days? You're not maintaining the entire thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the entire thing is designated as of right now as confidential. Do you want to pull up docket number 48?
Don't want to pull it up. Just want to make sure I'm clear as far as what you're doing. Because earlier you said you want to do the whole thing as confidential, so I just want to make
It
sure.
is designated as confidential. And
fair
then
enough.
it will be, we are going to comply with the protective order, and I hope you guys will too.
Of course. Let's go off the record.
Going off the record at 6:12.
If you would, Madam Videographer, can you tell me the time that we have left?
Back on the record at 6:13.
How much money do you believe that Miss Youngblood owes you?
For what?
What's that?
For what?
Anything.
The $15,000 for the farm, which I was told I was getting back, and of course now we're not really interested in any types of settlements. We're wanting to move forward and get on all of the defamation and other things that we're alleging. We're going to expect damages, of course.
So SBA made that loan to her farm, correct?
It was not a loan,
Investment,
investment.
but it was an investment
It was an
that
investment.
SBA made, correct?
I can't remember if it was SBA, GES, or me personally. I can't remember as I'm sitting here right now.
So you don't know, but you've sued her individually.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And you
I don't know sitting here right now which where the funds came out of to go to her. That is information that we can obviously get.
Okay. And you'll get that within 30 days? Yes?
I guess if that's what the rules are.
Okay.
I've met all the other rules.
Is there anything else other than the $15,000 that you believe Ms. Youngblood owes you for?
I don't, until we see her bank records and stuff, there's really no way of knowing. But right now, that's the only thing that's really sticking in my head.
Do you believe that if you invest in something and the ordinances change in that county so you can't grow something anymore, that you're entitled to your money back on the investment?
That's not what I was told. I was told that I was getting my money back because of their mistake. They were going to sell the marijuana that was supposed to be the hemp, and that they were going to pay back my $15,000, and that they were so sorry.
And who told you that?
Well, that was on a conversation with Roger and Leon.
And did they ever mention that again in a text or an email?
I don't know. I'd have to. That's been a long time. We're going to have to look over the emails. There were emails on the subject. I just can't remember what the details of them were.
Have you ever fallen out of with other work collaborators other than Gaia and my clients?
Work collaborators. Let's see. Other than the ones that tried to steal from me, not really. I'm working with some very good professionals, and they're well paid and very happy.
Darling International, right?
Darling International. I thought you were talking about.
That's a work relationship that didn't end up
It's
well.
not a creative. You were saying creative.
What's Darling International?
Yeah, it's a recycling company. It's when I was in the IT field.
Sure. And your work relationship there did not end up well either?
No, no.
Similar to MIT where there's restraining?
That's the same company.
Okay.
It's the same company. It was all over workman's comp injury, and they had several of them, and they were having a lot of problems in that area. I believe if you dig deep, you'll find investigations went on and all sorts of things.
Did you get copies of those investigations?
No, I was just told they were going on by the workman's comp people I was dealing with.
Did you ask for a copy?
No,
Why not?
because they were handling it. I could care less. All I wanted to do was have my 5 or 6 surgeries so I could get back to work.
You have a restraining order against you and you don't want to get copies of it?
I didn't even care at the time.
Why didn't
I was laying there and with 2 rotator cuffs ripped, 2 biceps ripped, a bulging disc in my back, my hands jacked up. I'm laying there in total pain, and they're calling, all harassing me. We need you to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do a restraining order. And just imagine the stress I was under after getting fired for getting her on a job, and then them doing everything they could to try to get out of it. It was just a very, the restraining order was just a very small piece of a huge fiasco around this company trying to get out of workman's comp benefits.
So after you were out of pain, why didn't you ask for copies of the report and the investigation that was done by
Like, what, 3 years later?
MIT?
Like 3 years later. Like I said, it was a small part of the workman's comp case, and as I was healing, I'm getting surgery after surgery, so I'm in pain for years.
And besides the $15,000 of hemp investment, is there any other claims that you have against Ms. Youngblood?
Only what's in my lawsuit.
Well, what are your, as you sit here today, what are your concerns about Ms. Youngblood other than the $15,000?
The amount of defamation and destruction she did to my business is the main.
That she did?
Yeah.
How?
By joining in with Leon and the others to fulfill Roger's extortion threat.
How did she join in to fulfill the extortion
Have you not
threat?
seen her video?
So you're saying she's the mastermind behind the videos?
I said she participated.
Huh. And so what is your view of her participation in those videos?
With malice, her and the others got together and fulfilled Roger's extortion threat. And in his letter, he said he was going to tell everyone and destroy me. So they knew exactly what they were doing. They were in an effort to completely destroy me in the community and to prevent me from ever being able to make money again. And if you sit and watch that video, if you try to characterize it any differently, I'd love to see the jury's reaction. Because those are some interesting videos.
And you've given all the list of all the people who saw those videos and are witnesses. All those names are to your attorney, correct?
Objection.
I think 35,000 people saw one of them. That's more people than watch CNN on some days. So I don't have all of those people.
Do you have any witnesses that you've given to your attorney? I think we talked about this earlier. All those names you've given to your attorney, right?
I believe so. I've given her all the information. We need to talk with Mike Wiskoski again to make sure that they provided all the customer service emails that came in during that time.
So Mike Wiskoski, what's he particularly knowledgeable about those emails? What's his role?
Him and his wife were the ones that were dealing with them when they were coming in and dealing with all of the stink.
Okay.
And also, emails were still coming in, but we didn't get that many. I know Liz Laurie and her mom were the ones that caught the brunt of the people calling and emailing in, extremely pissed. I can't remember how many refunds we had. We'll have to pull those numbers, but right after the video, just refunds like crazy.
How many refunds do you typically have?
3, 7 over a certain period of time, and we were getting like probably 3 or 4 times that.
And so 3 to 7 over what period of time as far as refunds?
Over a couple of weeks, I would say. And then for weeks after, we're going to be able to lay it out quite clearly. Don't worry about that. I mean,
I'm here to lay it out. That's what I need to know.
We'll lay it out with in the depositions with them because we don't have it with us here.
This is your data laid out, so I need to know your claims. What are your claims?
My claims.
Yes, as far as the damages to you and refunds, how many refunds did you give that you attribute to my clients?
I have to get that information.
I'm here to get that information. That's what today is for.
Oh, how about I give that to you when you depose GES?
I'm here for you.
Well, that's GES. That's more of the corporate stuff.
You have no knowledge.
I don't have current knowledge. No, I would have to refresh my memory and refresh my mind like I do on the documents that I was prepared to come and speak on today.
But now, if you have a huge deal coming in, hasn't that not affected your ability to make money? If you have a huge NDA that is going to have a lot of money coming down the pike, hasn't that in fact?
How does that affect what?
Well, apparently your reputation is not that damaged.
It's with it's not with anyone in the community.
And so hasn't done their due diligence to check out what your reputation is in the community? Hasn't checked out this video on YouTube?
I've been asked about the lawsuits and these different things, yes. And with all of Gaia's new lawsuits that came out.
Have you disclosed the video to?
Which video?
The video that you're accusing my clients of having destroyed your reputation. Have you disclosed that to the people?
Hell no.
So you're keeping that a secret from this company that you're entering into an NDA?
I'm not showing them all of the cyber stalkers that went after me, no. But I've showed them all, they know about all of the lawsuits.
Okay. So
they didn't even ask about it. We're in there talking, this is the entertainment industry. We're in there talking about entertainment contracts. Now, believe it or not, this community, this disclosure community, is a billion-dollar industry. And that's where I was making my money, was in the disclosure industry. And we can easily lay out, Gaia, $300 million in a year, they're getting that from the disclosure community. Okay. The disclosure community is a billion-dollar industry, and I was completely ruined within that in that industry. I had to go to a completely different industry.
Isn't it true that a lot of people in the industry are concerned about how litigious you are and how many lawsuits you filed?
I haven't had anyone mention to me that they were worried about it.
'Cause I've spoken to people that I know in the industry, and they say they wouldn't touch you with a 10-foot pole
Objection.
because of how litigious you are. So don't you think that that's part of the concern that people have with working with you?
In the community, but
Sure.
not in the entertainment industry.
Okay, so in the
Because the entertainment industry, Will Smith gets 10 lawsuits a year.
Right,
All of these public figures, they get lawsuits constantly.
right.
The entertainment industry doesn't care about that unless it directly applies to something that they're doing.
Got it. But
That's
this,
my problem.
but this community does.
Yes.
Okay, when you say this community, what community are you talking about that
The
cares about
disclosure
litigation?
esoteric community, that billion-dollar industry that I just mentioned.
They care about lawsuits.
Yes, they're the ones that I've been testifying all day, don't want lawyers, don't want contracts. I've been told many times that they believe more in anarchy than anything government or anything judicial.
Let's go off the record.
Going off the record at 6:27.
And how many more minutes do we have? Okay, I still want to go over.
Back on the record at 6:28.
Earlier in the deposition today, you provided me a thumb drive as well as your what you call your Bible and one other document. You listed them as what you're producing as part of today. Your attorney has now taken them back, and you're not giving them as part of your document production today. Is that correct?
I was told that it was a look, giving it to y'all just to look.
Okay. I object to that. I also object to the fact that I don't believe that this deposition is concluded because there's a lot of documents that we've talked about that you haven't produced or you're going to produce. So I believe this deposition should be continued. I understand, counsel, that you have a difference of opinion on that. But with that,
I can speak to that actually. So we were given a subpoena for. We brought the documents for inspection. If they were an actual request for production, that would have been outside the allowed number under the agreed protective order and scheduling order. And so we brought them for inspection. They were inspected. They were not used in as exhibit. There was really nothing used as an exhibit. So,
At all,
if you would like a copy of that, we will provide it to you in the under Rule 1 and in the form that's least expensive. So. You have a copy of what was on the thumb drive, correct, counsel?
yes, we do.
Okay, great.
Okay. That will go. I'd offer to stipulate that we can use a certified copy in lieu of the original if the original is lost. Is that agreeable, counsel?
I'm sorry?
Is that agreeable?
What?
That we can use a certified copy in lieu of the original if the original is for some degree lost
What are you talking about?
at trial?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
And we'll read and sign.
Okay. Thank you. I have nothing further. You have any follow-up questions, counsel, for your
We'll
witness?
reserve for trial.
Okay.
We are off the record. The time is 6:30. This concludes today's testimony given by James Corey Goode. The total number of media units used was 6 and will be